Tá iniciando aqui para mim.
Aí, tá ótimo. Agora foi. Legal. So welcome everyone to our mentoring session about global mobility. It's a pleasure to have you all here with us. My name is Raquel Kibrit. I'm the CEO of Sterna International Business, and I am so happy that we have global mobility specialists here and visa specialists to talk to you today and share a little bit of their knowledge so you can actually plan your international journey accordingly. So I'll just to let you know how we're going to work. So it's 60 minutes of mentoring session today. And we're going to hear from Caio Albuquerque first, who's going to give a brief overview about global mobility as a company strategy. Then we're going to hear from Priscila Rodrigues about the technicalities a little bit of visas and procedures and families and how do we actually include everybody affecting people's lives that are going through this journey. And then we're going to hear from Rodrigo Sotomayor on the special case for Canada. So really happy to have you all here today. So just as a brief introduction, so we're going to do some presentations from our guests today. And then in the end, we're going to open for questions. So if any of you have any burning questions about global mobility and talents, in the international expansion, please write here on the chat. So maybe the speakers can address during their presentation your questions. Or in the end, we're going to have between 5 to 10 minutes for questions from the audience. So we're happy to moderate those and make sure that you also get full visibility on this matter in the next hour. So just as an introduction about global mobility and why we actually brought this topic to the global business mentoring hub for startups. Basically, today is about the human aspect of internationalization. So usually when we talk in our mentoring sessions, we're talking about the companies and the products and the international marketing and countries and everything related to that. Today, we're going to talk about the people behind it, or the people who are actually leading this process. In the end, the expansion of an international company can be something completely corporate focused, but it can also include a personal dimension, especially for entrepreneurs that are looking to live abroad or have an international experience with their families. Choosing the right destination for that international movement to happen is something that is quite connected. So it's really important that we're bringing this topic today so you guys have full visibility a little bit on how the human aspect goes and is completely intertwined with the international expansion of your companies. Talking a little bit about the tech sector specifically, this is so true now with the international trends that we have after the pandemic and people looking at global mobility and digital nomad lifestyles and working from anywhere. So these are just a few elements that we're going to touch today, and I'm really happy that we have our guests. So without any further delay, I'd like to invite Caio to begin his presentation, and we're going to move on to the next guest. Thank you for joining us today, Caio.
Thank you for the invitation, Raquel, and all the Sterna team. It's a pleasure to be here and join my colleagues, great names in the field. It's a pleasure for me to talk about global mobility. Let me share my screen one moment. Please let me know if you're ready. If it's already shared, it's okay. Good. For those who do not know me, my name is Caio Albuquerque. I am a lawyer. I'm an HRBP specialist with extensive experience in global mobility. In my journey in this field, I had roles as project leaders. I was a speaker. I had the pleasure to teach international mobility at Sebrae, Santa Catarina. And also I was a mentor for the startup ecosystem in Florianopolis about global mobility. It's my passion. I've led global projects at iFood, RD Station, Samsung, Grupo Boticário, for many countries as possible. I love to explore, and I love to help companies to achieve these international expansion goals. That's my background. Let's cut to the chase and make the best of our time together. I just want to explore the global mobility concept because in here, as we were talking previously, we will find the keys for a great international expansion when it comes to people strategy. Global mobility is this strategic management of employee relocation across border, ensuring compliance. We will talk about compliance, talent development, business expansion, while addressing cultural and operational challenges. And I highlighted some specifics because when you see these separately, you will not be maybe not aware how important are those matters: strategic, compliance, cultural, operational challenges. It's something that I think that Rodrigo will share. How was the process of changing countries? How it influences the family dynamics, how it changed for him to be in another country, language, another mindset. It's important for us. That's why I'm bringing here more keywords to explore a little bit, a little deeper, actually, the what I want to say. When I talk about compliance, I'm pretty sure Priscilla will deep diving about the tax and immigration aspects of it. Global mobility has this, the global mobility profession has this responsibility to keep in mind that all the assignments, this person that comes from a home country to a host country had influence in taxes, even so as the company and also for the employee and the family, how the visa can be applied, the type of visa that will be applied, the visa expiring date. All these details must be in the radar of the global mobility professional. When it comes to operational, that's the main importance when you are planning to go overseas. It's because you need to be aware about the cost of this transfer, this assignment. You will see that you have costs, the unexpected costs if you don't plan correctly. You have to pay for benefits, pay for the visas, pay for relocation. You have to maintain in your radar the exchange fluctuation, the exchange rate fluctuation for the gross salary, everything that how you're going to pay, how you provide the benefits, the adaptation and the experience of this assignment. You as global mobility professional and you as entrepreneur need to understand that if you are aware previously about those topics, you can be planning in a better way how you proceed with an assignment for each country, and also how many times this person, this employee, this assignee will spend in another country. What are the expectations? What are the outputs and the results of this assignment? That's why global mobility needs to be looked at as the strategy inside the international business expansion. When it comes to cultural, that's the I think that the part of global mobility I'm more passionate about it because I've seen in all the projects I led that how cultural shock it's important to be aware when you are internationally expanding. Most of the assignees we choose for an international expansion, those are those people we see as result oriented. Those are the people we see as part of our culture. They care the culture strongly. That's why they were choose to be supported during the assignment. But when we're talking about changing countries, you're talking about changing everything of the life of this person. That's why global mobility will help you. This global mobility holistic view will help you to prepare this person for this relocation. You can prepare a new onboarding, bring it to this person, cultural information, how this person will be relocated, the benefits, but also the relationship that this person can build in another country. And be sure that this person will be aware that the cultural shock will happen there. because most of the people I send, if they are very aiming to this new step in the career, new phase, new country, I'm going to a safer country. My family will be a lifestyle that's different that I'm having here in Brazil. Most of them forget how impactful it can be during the outcome of this assignment. Most of them ignore the fact that the relationships will not be easy to build. There are some diversity and inclusion matters that it's important to bring to the table. So how they treat women in a leadership position, how do they treat gay people in a leadership position, how do they sell, how do they buy, what's important, and everything. When you have this holistic view, this complete big picture view, you will be more prepared to bring the global mobility as a strategy. Is everyone understand what I'm saying? Everyone with me? I'm seeing heads. Okay. I bring in here
Yeah.
most of startups have this process of testing MVP, market fit. When you look into global mobility as strategically, you can see that sometimes you do not need to open a legal entity at first if you are trying to validate your product there. If you do not know how do they sell, I saw, for example, some startup that had already a validated product here in Brazil and thought that it will be as successful as it was in all Latin America. But when it comes to Latin America countries, they speak different kind of Spanish. They have different ways of sell, and the markets have different dynamics. That's why you need to plan business travel first, understand the value of the passport, not hire someone over there because this person maybe will not be aware of the culture of the company, what you are selling, what you are preparing to bring to these markets. And then if you want to expand, you validated the product, it's something that you want to start operating, you have an office there, a co-working there. That's why you can use global mobility again with an EUR. You hire someone from Brazil, you hire someone from other countries, you create mixed and diverse teams from other nationalities, someone for the local, you can hire locally with an EUR. So that's in this way you can use strategically this people strategy as part of this validation of the product you are bringing to this market. You can bring the look for someone that has this Brazilian nationality, Brazilian expat, how the product was built in Brazil, but someone that locally can bring different modifications to the product. And if I can bring some advice here. If you are go into another country, you have to go with an open mind and open heart, and not to be so how can certainties. You can leave certainties behind because your product and this assignment would change during the process. And if you are going to a maturity step of your product and your company, you can start to think about a legal entity and the visas that apply for this. That's why global mobility is about experience, and you previously planning the experience of this assignment since the assignee receives the offer, explaining the cultural shock, the details of the strength, how much it would take, and how much time it would take, what are the expected outputs of it. It's important to planning before so you'll be more successful at the end. As we have here this quote for Peter Drucker, culture eats the strategy for breakfast. If you are not aware how culture affects the product validated and the strategy you planned for this product to grow in another country, you are exploring, you will face very, very basic difficulties for this successful, because it will affect how you see your product at the end. I experienced some startup entrepreneurs seeing the project differently because they ignore the culture before start any kind of international expansion. And that's my presentation. I want to leave here some suggested reading for you, the cultural map from Erin Meyer. It's something that I work together with leadership, international leadership in the companies I work. Lead with cultural intelligence for those that don't want to be ignoring this impact and how global mobility can be more strategic during this international expansion strategy. And HR from outside in, that now I'm an HRBP at Heineken, and I can have this strategic operation where HR works together with the strategy of the company globally to create base for the growth. That's why I leave here these books as suggestions for you to read. I think that I had my time. Thank you again for your attention. Any question, please don't hesitate to send to me, okay?
That's fantastic. Thank you, Caio. I just want to highlight the point that he said about the cultural shocks. When you're going internationally, especially if you're taking family, everybody from the family needs to be on board with this experience. If one of the partners is not fully aligned, I can't say how many times I've seen a pullback because of personal reasons. So pullback is when you actually internationalize, you set up the company, you start working. One of the partners that is leading the project is fully engaged, making it happen, blah, blah, blah. But at home, the person that stays back, that gave up everything to make that dream happen, will start to feel down. So this is really important for the whole family to be integrated, especially if you have children too, that they understand what they're gaining with this strategy and how the experience will add value to their lives overall. And everybody needs to be aligned in the same page. You do not want to have a pullback forcibly for personal reasons and say, oh, my international expansion didn't work because this is really important to do. There are preparations that you can do. There are strategies that can be in place, HR policies that can be implemented to make sure that the whole family is part of the project. And this is really, really important to happen. Priscila, can you add to that? Thanks.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, everyone. First, I would like to thank the Global Mindset Academy, especially Raquel and Julia, for the opportunity to be here with you today. I have to say that as an internationalist, it was hard to go through this presentation and not feel like traveling again. So thank you for that. Julia, can you share the presentation, please? I asked her help with the slides because I like to see your faces, and if I share here, I cannot see just the small squares. Well, good morning, everyone. You can pass to the next one, please. Great. So we know that opening a business requires several practical issues, but opening a business abroad also requires the ability to adapt to the country where you will spend probably most of your time from there on. So first of all, if you want to travel to a country to see what do you think of the culture, the lifestyle, how to know the local places, you can go as a visitor. The activities allowed may vary according to the rules of each country, but generally they include, in tourism purposes, leisure, tours, sightseeing, vacations, events and conferences. You can participate in congresses, seminars, and fairs, and have short courses, training, and workshops. And with a business visit visa, you can go to corporate meetings, to visit clients, negotiate contracts, conferences and events. So you can prospect the market and search for investments and see if it's a good field to start your business. Next, please. Moving on, it would be difficult to talk about visas for all the countries or the main requirements for every country in 10 minutes. So we come up with a few countries and regions that might interest you. We know that immigration authorities usually follow the same line of reasoning for visa categories. So the other countries that won't be mentioned here today should have similar requirements. And we brought here the United States, the EB5, E2, and L1 visa. So the EB5, it's for immigrant investor and requires a minimum investment of $1,080,000 in a commercial enterprise or an investment of $800,000 in a high unemployment or rural area, and you have to create at least 10 full-time jobs for US citizens, permanent residents, other immigrants that are authorized to work. And this number of job position doesn't include the investor and the investor's spouse and children, but these are the main requirements if you are willing to go to this option. A similar option, it's the E2 investor, that it's based on the investment treaty that the US have with different countries. Unfortunately, Brazil, it's not part of this treaty for now, but if you are a Brazilian and you have a dual citizenship, that it's one of the countries of this treaty, you can apply it. So if you have an Italian citizenship, Portuguese, or Spain citizenship, you can apply it. And what is interesting, it's that this option requires an investment that it's way less expressive than the EB5. So you can start a business for like one investment of $100,000. So that's something to look at it. And the other option that we brought here, it's the L1A, that it's for transfer of employees in the US. So if you have a company in Brazil or other country and you want to open a parent company, a branch, subsidiary, or affiliate unit in the US, you can ask for this visa, but it will have to be for a specific position, the requirement. So the person that will ask for this visa will have to work in the company for at least 1 year, and it will have to be in a management or leadership position. It's also a path that you can choose in the US. Next, please. We brought also 2 countries in Europe that have interesting visa options. The first one would be Portugal with the startup visa. So the startup visa, it's a program to welcome foreign entrepreneurs who wish to develop a project in Portugal, and is applicable to those who wish to develop their entrepreneurial or innovative project, even if you don't have already a company set up, and for those entrepreneurs who have businesses in other countries and want to bring them to Portugal. And there is no formally established minimum investment amount. However, it is essential to demonstrate that you have the adequate financial resources to implement and sustain the business. And the entrepreneur must obtain a declaration of interest of an incubation of the project from a suitable and certified incubator entity. The other one, it's the France visa, the business creator visa, that is for someone that wants to open a company in France, and the company must be commercial, artisanal, or industrial, and that will be verified for the local bodies. And you must invest 30,000 euros in the project and have a degree of at least master's degree, or be able to prove that from your work experience from the past 5 years, you gather the personal experience that are comparable to a master's level. And next, please. We brought also Latam region. So we have Mercosur agreements that have residency agreement that allow citizens of the countries that can apply for residency in other member countries of the bloc with less bureaucracy and guaranteeing rights and duties equivalent to those that the local citizens have. Of course, not including government functions, but it allows you to open a company and your business in one of the countries. And we also have bilateral agreements. In addition of the Mercosur, there are bilateral agreements such as border agreement, Brazil-Argentina, and Brazil-Uruguay agreement, which have the same purpose that allows the residency in the country and carry out local activities, but have a longer initial residency permit period than the Mercosur. So that's something that it's also nice to have in mind. And to wrap up, next, please. We brought some insights that might be helpful in this journey. And one of the most important thing is the planning and anticipation, because these procedures, they involve bureaucracy, complexities, specific visa requirements, processing time that can vary depending on the country. So start the visa process early. And to ensure a smooth process, consult with immigration and other experts that can organize everything and provide the appropriate directions can make a significant difference. We also give a highlight to tax obligations. I'm definitely not getting into details on this point because it's not my expertise, but it's something really important to look at it, both Brazilian and the other country where you establish your company, because there's procedures to be followed related to tax residency, agreements that it's there to avoid double taxation. You have to prove income and tax declaration, capital gain, possession of assets, and social security details. So that's something that you should look into it. And in the end, the deadline. So it's important to pay attention to your local ID. Once you have all the visa approved, you will have a local ID. So you have to be renewal from time to time. So it's important to see those deadlines and the visa and residency permit as well when you have to renew it, and not to leave the country for too long. Each country have its own requirements, but it's important not to leave the country if you have to for a specific reason for too long, to avoid to lose your residence permit and go to the whole process again. And next, please. So that's all for now. I hope I've been able to help with some direction for a project, and I will pass the word to Raquel and Rodrigo.
Thank you, Priscila. That was a great presentation. I guess I just wanted to highlight here how important it is, as Priscila mentioned, do not skip the procedure. Every country has its process. Every country has a documentation. You do not want to get a visa denied because you missed a step, because you missed the documentation. So this isn't something that you should overlook. This is probably one of the most important aspects if you're immigrating to another country, if you're going through this international journey, that you take care of this step quite diligently and make sure that you have all the documentation that you need. It's okay, the immigration officer can ask for more information. That's absolutely fine. Make sure that it's transparent and be patient with the process so it goes through naturally and in the correct pace. I have overseen immigration projects to the UK, to the US, and even foreigners to Brazil. And I can say that it's really important for you guys to have a specialist overseeing this project hire a company that knows how to do it, that understands the whole process and will guide you through. Okay, so you don't miss the step. This is really, really important what Priscilla said. Okay. Rodrigo, let's hear about Canada now.
For sure. Thank you so much, guys. So let's try to share my presentation. But first of all, thank you so much, Rachel and Julia. Great presentation, Priscilla and Kyle. Congratulations. And by the way, Kyle, I read the book, The Culture Map. It's really good. It's fantastic. So I strongly recommend as well. So let's see if you guys can see the presentation, please. Can you see it? I cannot see you guys anymore, so
Yes, we can see.
Yes,
oh,
yes.
great. So thank you so much. So today I'm going to focus my presentation on how to immigrate to Canada with your company. So as mentioned before, my name is Rodrigo. I'm the CEO and co-founder for Lake House Immigration Consulting, and I live in Canada, in Vancouver, for about 10 years. This is Rafael, my business partner, and also the regulated Canadian immigration consultant, specializing in the applications of startup visas and other business immigration processes. So about Lake House Immigration. So we are a Canadian firm specializing in the applications of visas and immigration programs to Canada. But one of our main expertise is helping companies get established in Canada through the startup visa process. Also, there are other processes that involve companies as well, such as intra-company transfer and some permanent residency applications. So I believe before we talk about the process itself, the startup visa program, I believe it's really important to better understand why Canada for your company and also for your family. So as you can see, there are so many benefits when you expand your business into Canada market, but I would like to highlight the last two topics, which is the access to government funds and access to over 50 countries via some free trade agreements. So in terms of government funds, you can request either provincial or federal funds or both, right? So when you establish your company in Canada, you have all the requirements to apply for those funds. So maybe you need some new employees, so you can use that funds to hire professionals in the market, or you need to train your sales force, so you can have funds for training as well, business trip, for example, or to invest a little bit more in your R&D, research and development, or to increase the capacity of the innovation of your product or service. So there are several types of funds. And by the way, there are exclusive companies that they work specifically helping you to identify what's the best funds to your company. So the other one, it's about us access to over 50 countries. This is one of the main reasons why Startup Visa Canada has become one of the most popular process among the global entrepreneurs. Because when you establish your company in Canada, doesn't mean that you're gonna work only in the Canadian region, right? So it's totally opposite. So you're gonna use Canada as your global hub. So you can like expand your business to 7 countries based on the free trade agreements. So Canada nowadays is one of the countries that has the highest number of free trade agreements in the globe. So just to give you an overview, those countries that you have color on it, it means that Canada either has agreement in force or it's about to have the agreement closed. So as you can see, for example, you can expand your business to US, to Mexico, or to European Union countries or Commonwealth countries such as Australia, New Zealand, India, some parts of Middle East, Asia, and South America as well. So as you can see, Canada has agreement with countries from all the continents. So, and why Canada for your family? So first one, it's top 5 in quality of life, especially based on safety and education. And the other reason as well, when you apply for the startup visa, for example, you, the spouse, and the kids, all of them, they're gonna have free access to school education and health system. So as an example, I have 2 kids and I don't pay anything for the schools and to have access to the health system. So let's talk a little bit about the immigration process, startup visa. I'm gonna give you guys a macro overview, but if you guys need more details, please just get in touch with us, and I'm gonna have a one-on-one meeting with you and give you more details. But the startup visa process, there are 2 types of requirements. The first one for the applicants and the other one for the startup. For the applicants, the good news is you can have up to 5 shareholders applying for the startup visa. Each one of them, they need to they need to show a proof of funds, right? And and take a language test. Can be either in English or in French. You decided, right? So about the startup, you have to show that your product and service has an innovation. So when I say innovation, doesn't mean that you have to have a brand new product or service. Can be an improvement of a system, of a process. You just need to show in a very clear way what's going to be the positive impact in the Canadian society or in the Canadian economy. So based on the economy, you have to show as well that you're going to create jobs and compete in a global scale. What that means that Canada wants you to expand your business and export your product or service overseas. It's why they have so many agreements around the globe, right? And last but not least, you have to have a lot of support from an incubator, from a Canadian incubator. That letter of support, it's a mandatory document that we need to apply for your company for the startup visa. So it's mandatory for shareholders or just one shareholder to participate in an incubation program in order to better understand about how the Canadian market works, right? So this is, as I said before, just a macro overview about the requirements. One of the best benefits when you apply for the startup visa in Canada, first you become a permanent residency, and after 2 years you can apply for Canadian passport. It's very plausible to say that almost in between 4 to 5 years you can get a Canadian passport, which is one of the top 10 most valued passport in the world. So you're gonna have access to over 185 countries without visa. So when I do business in US, for example, I don't need a visa anymore, right? I just show my Canadian passport. So some countries that you're gonna have free access without visa, for example, US, European Union countries, UK, Asia, Commonwealth countries, and United Arab Emirates. And also, when you are Canadian citizen, you are eligible to vote and to work at any government institution. So how our process works. So usually you complete an assessment in our website or get in touch by WhatsApp, and I'm going to book a one-on-one meeting, a Zoom call, a Google Meet call. That first conversation with me, there is no cost. It's free of charge because the idea is to better understand your needs and how we can help you moving to Canada, right? So I'm going to present, for example, how the startup visa works, all the requirements in details, and our service and fees. And then if I see a potential to apply for any immigration process, I'm going to recommend our consultation with Rafael. Rafael is the consultant certified by the government, and by law here in Canada, only a certified professional can evaluate your profile. So it's mandatory to have an initial consultation with Rafael. After that initial consultation, we connect you guys with the incubators There are over 100, and we have partnership with many of them. And once you get the LOS, the letter of support, we are going to start your application for you and your family to come to Canada. So this is all for me. So here you have my contact, WhatsApp, email, and the website. Please feel free to get in touch, send us a message, and less than 24 hours, I'm gonna get in touch with you and try to better understand your needs and how we can help you out. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rodrigo, for the presentation. You guys have all been brilliant. I do want to invite everybody that has attended here on this mentoring session. You can see on the link there is a Calendly to book a free mentoring session with us with Sterna International Business. So I really recommend that you go ahead and take advantage of that, so we can actually help you further and direct you wherever you're standing, or just bring burning questions for us to address during the mentoring call. I do want to open the floor for questions. If anybody would like to share or has a burning topic that they would like, please raise your hand, open your camera, just talk to us, and we're happy to actually have you make questions. We still have a few minutes left in order to do that. Walter, do you have any questions? Flavia,
No,
Osvaldo,
no, I don't have a question. Thank you.
would you like to make the question in Portuguese if you have one, and we can translate it? It's okay.
No, no problems. I don't have question. For me, it is okay. I understand exactly about the program.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
I don't have questions either. For me, it's all very clear. Thank you, guys.
Great. Osvaldo, Isabella, Vitória, Sarah, thanks for being here. Débora. Well, this is okay. Maybe we can take probably a minute or two and have you guys share a story that you would like to share about global mobility that you've actually experienced. How does that sound? Maybe Caio, Priscilla, or Rodrigo would like to share a case without naming anybody, but something that you have experienced that you think can actually add value here beyond the amazing content you've shared. Wait, Sarah has a question. What about a company in the US wanting to move to Brazil?
Can I go?
Sure.
Yes. So I will talk about the visa and migration aspects. I don't know if you wanted to know more the technicality of opening a company itself, but in Brazil we have different visa options to the administrator. So it have to be someone that can have powers to sign up and respond for the company. This visa requires a investment of 600,000 reais investment in the company in Brazil that you would like to open. And if you want to hire with a labor contract, we have a different type of visa that's based on labor contract that have to be based on the Brazilian work law, this specific contract. And it granted 2 years of until 2 years of visa here in Brazil and can be renewable, and then they would change the period to indeterminate. So it's definitely possible to open a company here for sure.
Thank you.
Just to add to that, I actually helped an Israeli client go through that process, and those two options are quite good, actually. 600 reais, it's just a little over $100,000. So it's really doable. It does depend on the kind of power that you would like to have over the Brazilian entity, and that would actually determine if you want to be the administrator or just be transferred as a worker, because the worker can't really sign any contracts on behalf of the company, can't really manage the company, or like respond like after banks or like anything related to that. There is a restriction. If you're a worker, you can't have management powers over the company. So you might actually look into the investor option of the visa, and that would be the most appropriate if you want to be the administrator or the managing partner of your company. We actually had to make a transition between both visas, between the worker and the investor for this client, and again, like, this was doable, but it's quite a process to go through. So it's important for you to understand what's the role that this person is going to play in order to get the correct visa route for them. You can always hire a legal administrator in Brazil, legal representative, to actually perform the administration roles on behalf of the company as well. That's also an option if you're expanding a company to Brazil.
Thank you. Thank you
Great
for that,
question.
Raquel.
Yeah, great question, Sarah. Are there any other questions, maybe? Okay. There's probably a burning that it's good to share, because not many people actually understand this. Whenever you start expanding your company and you do a little traveling, right? And you start traveling very often to that destination. So let's say you're traveling to the US a lot, or you're traveling to Europe a lot, and you actually start wondering, well, should I get a visa? Or so uh, it's really important for you to be mindful of that, so that you don't get an entry denial whenever you're in the immigration. So you should probably be aware that there's some countries allow, whenever you're getting a visa, or even visa exempt countries, they will allow single entry or multiple entry in a country. So, for instance, if I'm not mistaken, if you're traveling to China, every time you have to get one entry per time per visa if you're going there. If you're going to the US and you have a B1, B2 visa, for instance, you can do multiple entries per year, and that's allowed. But you do have to have a visa. If what qualifies for you to have a business travel, which we definitely recommend for those doing business development, or even being a founder of the company that is traveling very much, it's required. I mean, we do advise that you get at least a business travel visa for those sorts of interactions, so you're covered whenever you're traveling, and are not seen as trying to extend the stay every time you go just because you get a single entry, when really you should have a multiple entry business visa. So this is actually relevant. And then when you see yourself, okay, I'm here for a long time now, I might as well just move here. If that becomes the case, you do want to check if you're staying more than 6 months, more than 180 days in the year in that specific destination. And that's really when most countries define residency, and that say, okay, now you're definitely living here, so you might as well just pay us taxes, or just like, just become a regular resident. Like, this is just what most countries qualify. So you do want to keep track of either situation in order to make sure that whatever visa you apply, that you're being compliant with the country. Another thing that it's important is, where are you getting your salaries from, or where are you getting your dividends from? And that also impacts the sort of residency, and if you should be eligible for a business travel visa, or if you're actually towards a more residency visa. So again, this is all case by case, I'm afraid. Again, do not overlook global mobility aspects for your business. They can definitely make it to an advantage, especially with talent retention of Gen Z and people that are like from their 30s or something like that. They really value those types of policies. And we're happy to say that at Sterna, we do have specialists that can help us actually design that. And we're happy to have our partners here be part of those strategies with our clients. So we do appreciate your time here today with us. Please stay in touch, follow up. We're going to have another mentoring session early May, if I'm not mistaken, or late May. You will receive the invitation about it. It's about how to do business with Brazilians. And Julia, is adding the information here for you to go ahead and register for the next mentoring session that we have. So I really want to say thank you, Priscila, Rodrigo, and Caio for being here with us today, Julia for organizing this, and all of our participants who are really following the Global Business Mentoring Hub for startups and taking advantage of this amazing content. So see you in the world, guys.
See you. Thank you for the
you.
invitation. See you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye bye.
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 Bye. Bye.